Welcome to On the Vineyard, a weekly podcast from the Vineyard Gazette Media Group on Martha's Vineyard. I'm publisher Monica Brady-Myrov. We're so glad you're here. On the Vineyard is sponsored by Crane Appliance. It's October, and the last long weekend in a while is here, and the weather is going to be mixed. Some rain, and the temperatures have dropped. It feels like summer is really over. Every year at this time, the Chamber of Commerce brings together businesses to talk about the state of tourism on Martha's Vineyard. The upshot of this past summer season? August surged while July simmered. Here's the Chamber's Erica Ashton.
But it's just really refreshing and wonderful to see the community come out for this important breakfast, talking a little bit about the culture of the island, the transportation, threats to the island, challenges that we all have, and it's
Speaking of tourism, more than 80,000 visitors or residents come to the island through the airport every year, which has started construction to nearly double the terminal size.
Yeah, this is obviously one of the larger construction projects on the island coming up.
More on that later. Also, last Friday at Vineyard Haven's First Friday Festival, there was a silent disco. Ever heard of this? This is what it sounds like. You're hearing a circle of young boys singing along to whatever they're listening to. I can't tell, because the way this works is that you wear individual headphones connected by Bluetooth to a DJ who spins different tunes depending on what type of music you want to dance to. So it's quiet, but they're hearing music and dancing. At Owen Park, it was very popular with kids under 10. That's the sound of the historic press in the Vineyard Gazette offices in Edgartown printing the paper. And that means it's time to go upstairs to the newsroom and check in with Bill Evell, the editor-in-chief, and the reporters on this week's news.
Turning now to the Steamship Authority, where a lot of news came out on Thursday, and Louisa Hofstadter was there.
Hey, Bill. So on Thursday morning, the Steamship Authority's working group for its search for a new general manager revealed that they have two finalists out of an initial pool of more than 130 candidates that were either screened or otherwise reviewed for the position. The interviews with the two finalists will be scheduled for later this month on a purpose-built day just for that, with perhaps one candidate interviewed in the morning, the other in the afternoon, and we'll be watching for the agenda on that because once 48 hours before that meeting is scheduled, we will know the candidates' names.
Now, this comes not a moment too soon, as Executive Director Robert Davis is exiting very soon.
Well, he wouldn't exit until his position is covered. I think that was understood in the agreement that he was going to be stepping aside into an advisory position with the Steamship Authority, apparently at the same rate of pay once the new general manager is on the job. So the position will not be vacant. Right. However, this is what they wanted. They did want to get it done by now.
Yeah. Now, they've narrowed it to two finalists. They wouldn't give their names, but one of them evidently works at the Steamship Authority, they did say.
Well, that was the impression I got when one of the members of the working group expressed concern about releasing the names even 48 hours in advance of the interview meeting because he said he expected there possibly would be what he called a hue and cry over the fact that one of them is an internal candidate, because the assumption might be that that's what the Steamship Authority board would go for. So he said we should be ready for that expression of concern.
Okay, so I think we will be ready. So you want to take us through a little bit of the search process?
Sure. They hired a company called Fast Stream Recruiting, which is international in nature. And they did a combination of looking proactively for candidates and also advertising for candidates. So out of the 131 people in the initial pool, about 32 of them responded to advertisements, and the rest were targeted by Fast Stream. And they screened them, they vetted them, and the candidates that were of most interest also vetted the Steamship Authority and the Martha's Vineyard and Cape Cod and Nantucket communities.
Yeah, that was the interesting part of it. So even though they did get a lot of candidates, they said they may not have got some because of different community groups. I guess in their words, were sort of lashing out at the Steamship Authority.
Well, what Jonathan Pierce from Fast Stream said in a very diplomatic way was that there was a sense that the job was politically charged and that a number of otherwise promising candidates just decided that they weren't going to put themselves in that line of fire.
So it is two men, one of whom may be working for the Steamship Authority, and we'll start to find out in a few weeks.
That's right. Keep your eye on the Steamship Authority agendas.
All right.
We'll know soon.
Thanks, Louisa.
Thank you, Bill.
Turning now to Ethan Genter, who did a story this week on the airport construction project, which is about to start soon. Ethan, what's at stake here?
Yeah, I mean, this is obviously one of the larger construction projects on the island coming up. On October 20th, the airport's going to be breaking ground. They're going to be adding about 15,000 square feet to the terminal over there that straddles West Tisbury and Edgartown.
Wow, that's a lot. And it's mostly when you're reporting for the TSA stuff and how people get in line and the waiting areas, correct?
Yeah, so for anyone who's gone into the airport in the summer now, a lot of the lines all start to blend together as you're waiting there. There's one lane for TSA, and if you have a couple flights stacked up, it can really get backed up. So what they're doing is reconfiguring this area so there's more room for TSA. And if you've ever flown out of the airport, after you get through TSA, you're just kind of standing along the tarmac.
You have that cute little waiting room.
Yeah, it's a tent. Basically, you're sitting under. So they're hopefully going to be enclosing that as construction starts here so that you have a real area back there.
Yeah, because that tent is fine if the weather's perfect, but if it's really hot or really cold, it's a pretty bad place to hang out.
Yeah, and they say if it's bad, it can then contribute again to the lines getting longer because people come back in, and then you have to go through TSA again, or people are waiting last minute to go through TSA because they don't want to stand outside where 98 degrees on the tarmac. This is all in hopes of kind of bettering the experience over there.
And it's not to bring in more planes, they said, right? It's just about, as you said, the experience of waiting.
Yeah, one of the common concerns is that the airport's expanding because they want to bring more people in. The airport has said this isn't to try and expand the operations, it's just to help the people we have come through. A lot of this stems from the September 11th terrorist attacks. The airport was built just a couple of years before that all happened, and then all the rules changed about what you need, and so we've been out of compliance since it was built for the last 25 years.
Now, it's a multi-year project. What can people expect? You said we're going to break ground soon. Is it going to impact people coming and going?
At first, you're probably not going to notice a whole lot. The main difference that people are going to probably see right off the bat is there's going to be some parking changes. Moving forward, this is going to be done kind of in phases. This is all being done cognizant of the summer when most of the traffic goes through.
All right. Thanks so much, Ethan. We'll keep everybody apprised as the project continues.
And I want to say a special congratulations to Bill Evell and his wife, Kathleen Baker, an island pastor, who were awarded the Martha's Vineyard Community Foundation's Creative Living Award on Thursday. They're being recognized for their work building community. Great job. And you can read more on these stories and Bill Evell's award at vineyardgazette.com. And Saturday, head over to the Winnetou Oceanside Resort for the Barbecue Classic Car Show. We at the Vineyard Gazette are putting on the car show with the Winnetou. There'll be at least 25 classic cars, including a 1956 DeSoto Fireflight and a 1967 Chevy Camaro. And I'll be there with the Vineyard Gazette's 1955 red Chevy truck. It's free and it's fun for the whole family. There'll be free popcorn and cotton candy, hot dogs and hamburgers for sale for lunch, and you can vote on your favorite car. If you live on or are planning to visit Chappaquiddick in the near future, just know that starting Sunday there will be only one on-time ferry running. One of the boats is getting pulled out for maintenance and Coast Guard inspection. It should be back around Thanksgiving. And it's not too early to think about where you are going to get your turkey for Thanksgiving. Our Cook the Vineyard newsletter, which you can sign up for free on Substack, reports that 3 island farms have already started taking orders for fresh turkeys, including Beetlebung Farm. The Derby is still on for one more week. I'm reading the book The Big One, An Island, an Obsession, and the Furious Pursuit of a Great Fish by David Kinney. It was released back in 2010. At that time, when you were allowed to fish for striped bass in the Martha's Vineyard Striped Bass and Bluefish Derby, anglers were catching 55-pound-plus striped bass. Today, and for the past few years, catching striped bass is banned because of overfishing and a need to let their stocks build up. The biggest fish caught so far in this year's Derby, at the time of this recording, is a 19.61-pound bluefish caught by Matt Stedman from a boat. But you never forget the big one. Here is islander and fisherman Eddie Belle-Isle, who died in 2013, talking about big bass and the best bait.
The biggest bass, I was with Francis Bernard, who is probably one of the best fishermen on Martha's Vineyard. He gets no credit, but we caught that morning, was after the Derby, it was November 7th, and don't know the year. We went to West Tisbury, and we'd been fishing up there for maybe a week on the bottom, and the pond was closing. Of course, there was nobody around then, and it was cold and everything else, so we could see the opening. We could see a lot of birds at the opening, so we went down there, and we caught, with live eels, maybe 10, 11, 12 fish that were all over 30 pounds. And they just stopped all of a sudden, which is what bass do.
Thank you to the Martha's Vineyard Museum for this interview conducted by Lindsay Lee. Our theme music is from island composer and musician Michael Hayden. If you like the show, please follow us so you won't miss an episode, and give us a rating. Also, tell a friend who loves the vineyard. Thanks to our sponsor, Crane Appliance, where you have access to an extraordinary range of premium appliances with best-in-class service and expertise. Crane Appliance. They call the Cape and Islands home. I'm Monica Brady-Myrov. Thanks for joining us on The Vineyard. Talk to you next week.